So speaking of John Wick, or really any action movie that has like the protagonist, like the journey through the night that just gets more and more beat up with so many wounds, prosthetics, whatever. How much you just get driven crazy by, continuity? They shoot out of order and everything, of course, because you clearly enjoy putting all these things on, but.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we oftentimes, you try to think about that when you start. Steve Kelly was the department head for those movies, and he's an incredibly organized department head. So he had beautiful breakdowns. One of the reasons I enjoyed working with him, because I was like, oh, we do breakdowns really similarly. So we could like nerd out on our OCD level of paperwork, so that you're able to take a lot of the guesswork out of that continuity stuff. You break a movie down into Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Again, this is a lot harder to do on something where you have 8 days to shoot and you're tandeming the first and the last day of it. So you're shooting multiple episodes at the same time. That's hard stuff to do. And that's, I think, to me, where continuity starts to get a little crazy. Working on a feature, when you know the arc of a character, that's not as hard. It's a lot harder if like you don't have scripts yet, or you don't have, or you get some sort of massive edit. But even when you get a massive edit, generally that means you had a script at some point that you can work off of. So, knowing how to do a really significant continuity breakdown is probably the first thing that I do when I jump into it. And then there's other departments also that will have their own continuity breakdowns. So then you'll work with a script supervisor who has like the breakdown. They have the day-night breakdown that you go to, and you're like, tell me what day or night every one of these scenes is. And then I make sure that all my notes match that. The costume designer is going to have their own set of continuity breakdowns. And a lot of times we'll match or we'll find commonality in someone else's breakdown. Like somebody gets shot. You're like, okay, well, there's probably going to be blood. Who's doing blood? Are we going to see the bullet hole, or are we not going to see the bullet hole? Do you need to see the blood flowing? Who's going to do the blood? If it's not going on the actor's skin, if it's just going on their costume, then that's going to be the costume department. So then that continuity gets pushed into the costume department, if that makes sense.
And how do you balance like, well, this is how it looked last time, but I can also do it better?
Oh, don't match ugly?
Ooh.
Yeah, that's one. Don't match ugly is something that sort of has like floated around throughout another colloquial saying, I guess. Continuity is like, if it looked this way last time, you're locked into it, so you better make sure it doesn't look bad. I think the more experienced you get, the more you are able to sort of see where the parameters of that are. Where if you're able to look at an image, right, you pull up either your continuity photo or you pull up, your playback on something, and you say, okay, what did this look like just before? Have I seen them after this? What am I locked into between these two things? And then you can kind of push it. Depending on the project, you can also say, like, I can do that better. You could go to depending on your relationship with a script supervisor, with a camera operator, with your actor, with your director, there's a lot of different areas that you could go there to kind of be like, somebody has to give me another one because that one was really bad. But it's also like, it's my job to where if I say, if I see somebody's eyelashes hanging off halfway because I glued it on and it, something happened, I have to go to the script supervisor and say, boo-boo, make a little note on that one. You don't want those notes going back to the studio, so you want to limit how many of those there are. But that is certainly within the parameters of the, of what it is. Say you have an actor who's crying, or we can go back to prosthetics again. If you've got an actor in a prosthetic and it's like take number 27 after like 8 hours, and it's just, it is just like a wind will come through and it will just be like, it's like oh God, those last scenes, you're just hanging on by a thread and you're like, please don't light it. That's where you can go to your DP and be like, help me, please. Those relationships become really important, again, for continuity. So the answer is you have to stick to continuity. You can't really change it dramatically. If it goes on camera and that's what it is, and you don't know for certain that they're going to throw that take away, you got to assume that they're going to use that take. You know, make your subtle adjustments so that all their other takes are better. So you hope that those are the ones they use.
Something over in the background, so you know they're not going to use it.
You know, kicking them.
Oh,
you know,
no.
you just like pay off your camera operator to like sneeze a couple of times and like, you know, I have known makeup artists that have done that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I feel like a boom guy could make some money on that, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a
This
good
is the side
idea.
hustle that we talked about.
You're like, dude, just dip it just a little bit, just give it a little dip.
You just
Here's
give
$100
the signal and then
Yes.
I'm so gonna do that.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, I'm gonna do that. I can't even tell you. I had never thought about going to the boom operator.
Yeah, because he's kind of in control. All he has to do
thinks
is
about
go.
sound.
Take ruined.
Whoops, sorry.
I have been deliberately thrown under the bus with good intentions multiple times where, you know, the director just wants one more take, right? But the actors had enough.
Oh yeah.
And so they just, you know, they give you the look that, you know, that means I'm really sorry. And they're like, sorry, boom was in the shot. We got to go again.
That's so good. See, I want to know more of that.
If you pay them, it's
You
good.
listen
You
to
don't
the
do it for free.
podcast.
Listen.